All right, it's Tabletop Interviews. I'm Peter Bryant with Solarian Games, and I'm here with Jonathan Reinhardt from Wargaming Recon.
Hey, how are you?
Jonathan, I'm doing great, and it's good to see you here as always.
It's wonderful to see you too.
So, I guess the most prominent question is, what the heck is Wargaming Recon?
So, when you are in college, you decide that you want to try new things. Some people go out and make new friends. Other people like me decide, no, I'm going to hold up in my room away from everyone and start a podcast.
Oh, okay. So, wait a minute, you started this in college?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, started a long time ago.
We have to be. Look at this guy.
Yeah, I'm old as the hills. And so, been doing it ever since. We talk about tabletop games, historical games, stuff that happens in New England. We are doing our 21st year right now. Mm-hmm. And just get to meet all sorts of cool people, and we've raised money for charity and raise awareness about mental health, and just kind of go around and promote stuff that people are doing, try to support one another and make the world a little bit of a kinder, happier place.
Right. So what is, when did you start? Because it's a long time ago. Like you have the claim, and I'm sure it's true, that you're the longest running wargaming podcast.
Yep, I've been told that's true. One of my listeners actually one day, many years ago, had posted online to let me know that someone was trying to find out which podcasts had been going on for so long in our space. Mm-hmm. And another podcast in England thought that they may have been it, but it turns out they actually started after us. So that one has since ended, and that was the longest running for the United Kingdom, but then it turned out that we are longest running overall. I've lost track of how far back it is, but go back 21 years, whatever that is.
21 years, so it's 24 now.
Yeah, so...
25 now, geez, I'm sorry, 25 now, so 21.
2004, 2003, something like that?
God, did podcasting even...
Very early stages.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like before iPhone, right? This is still like iPod.
It was iPod and iTunes. I remember we were on New and Notable on Apple iTunes, and I thought, I don't need to screenshot this because it'll happen again in like 2 weeks because I'll just go back on, because that was back when that sort of stuff happened.
Right.
And now people do their whole time podcasting, never get on there at all.
Right. So that's interesting. You go back that far. Now, I've talked to you many times about like technology and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, just in case anyone doesn't know, Jonathan and I are good friends. Yeah. We talk quite a bit. But, talking to you about technology and stuff, you're not really like a techno wizard, right?
You don't need to be.
Right. No. But what I'm saying is that you jumped on podcasting when it was like brand new. Yeah. And I know it was, because I remember I got in early, not as early as you, but I got in early. And it was really hard figuring out a lot of that stuff. There was no... I mean, in the very early days, there was no like manual for doing it. You had to go on like, I don't know, like billboards.
Like bulletin boards and stuff?
Bulletin boards and stuff to get information, and like how did you learn how to do all that stuff? Was it just because you were in college and like you could ask people in college? Or?
Well, so actually, it was because while I was in college, I also worked part time.
Okay.
And so when I was at work. One of the opportunities, we have like a lot of continuing ed opportunities. And so one of them there was this class about podcasting. I was like, that sounds really cool. And so someone was teaching the class. It was free for anyone who wanted to go. So I went, and it was like an 8-week online course that you did. So you correspond by email and learned about all the different things. So learned like what I needed. So at the time,
feeds and all
yeah, exactly. So like we used Audacity. That I still use it sometimes now if I need to.
Audacity it's amazing. Anyway,
it keeps on living. It's very, very basic, open source. It's not the best editor you should use. It's destructive. I would suggest you find something else. But like,
well, I don't know. Like, I think it's very good at what it does. Like you did say, you are right. It is destructive.
Yeah, because so if you make an edit, you can't change.
Right. Like if you make an edit and you save, that's it. It's
you're
buried.
Done.
Yeah.
So if you mess up, you mess up.
Right.
Whereas now, you just take your phone and then you podcast on that.
Yeah.
Is what most people would do.
And there is like no technical setup whatsoever. You literally just go on your phone.
You go,
blip, blip,
record,
go,
and you're done. But back then, like you had to be at a computer, you had to record, you had to get all the room treatment just right. Although no one cared about it back then because it was, whatever.
Yeah, when I got
Wild
into
West.
it, I did too much research. I'd like overthinking stuff, right? Which I mean, it's still like it still led to good things, but like I'm like researching how do you set up your studio, how do you this, how do you that, how do you edit, blah blah blah, blah. And then of course I over edited because I wanted to take every and every tiny little mistake and every like if there was any short pause or breaths, and I just like way over edited, and I would spend, I don't know, 4 hours for every hour of audio, and it was just ridiculous. And now I barely do any editing at all because people are used to people talking normally.
True.
And it seems kind of weird when you edit all that out.
It does. It's unnatural.
It's unnatural. You hit like an uncanny valley.
You do.
Like nobody said once, really. Yeah, there goes one.
Yeah. No, you're right though. I remember so when I first started, I did not edit at all. And I'm asthmatic, so I would have a lot of breath sounds in there. And people would tell me, by people I mean like the two people who had discovered what I'd done, would tell me, oh, hey, we really like what your content is, but it kind of sounds like a rude caller.
Hey, Darth.
I didn't know how to take that. And then I thought, oh, wait, I should edit this thing maybe. So then I did the same thing as you. I over-edited it. And then as time went on, luckily, I have an editor on our team now. We have a team, which sounds weird to me. But we have a team. And so there's someone who actually does all the editing. But I'm mindful of making sure that if I don't know what to say, and I always tell my guests this too, say nothing.
Yeah.
It's easier to say nothing and edit silence because you can automate that very easily.
Right.
Than to edit out an an ah. And also you get to learn what an and ah and oh look like visually.
Right. Oh yeah. There's a very
very pronounced,
distinct,
right?
Yeah, I can find it. If I'm scrubbing through audio, I go, there's an there's an
Yep.
there's an
And everyone's a little bit different.
A little different. Yeah, but it has
It's
the same
similar, yes.
Yeah. It has the same shape. A little loud? Okay. So you do have editing now.
Yep.
And
we have an editor who does that. His name's Joshua. He's down in Australia.
But I know he's had some personal issues.
Yeah, he's had health stuff going on.
But is he back in business with you?
He's back now, yep. Okay. And so when he's not able to, I do the editing.
Oh, so you have to do the editing sometimes.
Yeah, I don't love having to do that, but I do that.
And how much time do you spend editing when you edit now?
So I probably spend maybe, if an episode is an hour long, I probably spend 20 minutes editing. Mm-hmm. And then there's all these processes you can run stuff through that help automate things. So they can go and clean up your silences. They can add in my intros, my outros, so I don't have to manually do any of that sort of stuff. And then they can look and they can kind of clip stuff together. So I have settings all made up for all that, and then everything just kind of goes in. So I'll go through, I'll do a pass, and be like, I don't like this content here. We went off the rails, or maybe there was a tech problem.
Right.
Whatever I'm doing distance, we have over on the internet, and the internet went wonky for whatever reason. We're not using that, and we reset it 10 seconds later. So I'm going to cut that out and be like, that's gone. We're done with that. Or what I'll also do is, as you know, because we've recorded together, you get me going before an episode and I just go off the rails, and it's but people love that. So I'll take that.
Right.
Or other parts throughout, and then sometimes I'll take that, I'll just pop it at the end as an extra, or I'll pop it at the beginning, depending on how things are, because people seem to really like hearing me mess up.
Yeah, because sometimes before the podcast, because I've joined Wargaming Recon as a frequent guest, and then I will get him all riled up before the show begins, and he'll be cracking up. He'll be like, "Come on, man, I gotta do this show." So, but let's talk about the show some, right?
Okay, cool.
So Wargaming Recon, so you said you talk about tabletop, talk about, wargaming stuff, but what is, the main focus is talking about wargaming stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, miniatures, like best way to paint miniatures, terrain, stuff
we've
like that.
done tutorials on how to get started into minis painting. I've had interviews with Carol Pandolph of the Muse's Touch. She's an amazing minis painter here at TotalCon every year. And had her just kind of go like, what would you say for a beginner if you wanted to do? And then think about my own journey. So I tend to try to use myself in the lens of being, I know nothing about anything, right? And then I will have experts or people who know more than me come on and be like, teach me. And by teaching me, you're teaching everyone else.
You're the everyman.
Yes, that's what I try to be. Right. And so that's what I've tried to carry throughout a whole span of time. And then there was a good chunk of about 10 years or so. I had a co-host, Adrian Benson. He passed away. But he was very much this is the serious how you do whatever. He was the grognard, right? And I was the goofball. Still am. Right. And so we kind of get that to be like, I'm the idiot here, right? Teach me what you need to know. And also, this helps people to kind of understand when you go out and you play with other people, you're going to have to play with all sorts of people, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to deal with different situations. Listen to how we do it, right, and maybe it might work for you.
So how do we move on with this show when it has two idiots as hosts? I don't understand how that works.
It's a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, it's a challenge.
Because I'm clearly not a wargaming expert. You know, I show up and I'm actually like, I don't understand any of it. I mean, because I have played war games. I like war games, but I'm not a war game guy. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't do it on a regular basis. Like, I don't have my home group where we're going to play, I don't know, Axis and Allies this weekend. Yeah. Whatever. See, there you go. I go with Axis and Allies, which is a game that's old as crap. I know people still play it.
It's valid.
It's valid, but if I was really a war gamer, I probably would have said...
You probably would go, actually, by default, Warhammer. Warhammer 40K, most likely, is what most people would say.
Now is Warhammer really wargaming? Does it
Depends on who you ask.
Because I know some people, like your diehards, would be like, nah, that's minis.
So if you go way, way back, of course, wargaming has its roots 1800s before. Like they used it in military training, and they still do, actually.
Oh, yes.
But for a large chunk of people who are aging grayer now, for them it was hex encounters. So you're talking things like Squad Leader, Advanced Squad Leader, Panzer Leader, in a variety of these games by Avalon Hill or GMT Games, Multi-Media Publishing, where you'd have a board or things and you'd use tweezers to pick up your little counter and you move it from square to square.
Yeah.
And they clip them. I will be controversial and say I think clipping corners off counters is ridiculous. A lot of people like to do that.
I'm going to say, what? What
is
this?
So if you have a counter, it'll say it's square.
Yeah.
They think either to make it easier to pick up or to last longer, they'll buy these little clippers that'll clip off every single corner. So you go one by one for each of them, and it kind of like rounds it off a little bit. And there'll be people who will literally clip hundreds of pieces.
Jeez.
And I'm going on camera today to say I think that's absurd. Right. But if it makes you happy, I fully support you in doing it.
Yeah.
But that is not for me.
You personally think it is, but you don't think that anyone else should listen to it.
I'm not going to say, we need to stop right now. How dare you do that? And blah, blah, blah. Something wrong with you.
I'm making a sign and I'm protesting. I'm going to go down to the wargaming room right now. No clipping, no clipping.
No, I mean, I will in my head think that's not for me. And I think you could spend that time doing other stuff, playing games, seeing other people, whatever. But if that's how you get your enjoyment, that's how you're having fun. You're not hurting anyone, right?
Yeah.
So
dance
who am I?
Dance your dance. Right?
Who am I to tell you what's wrong?
Right.
I'm no one.
Right.
But to go back to your question, one of the things that I've found, and you probably have already picked up on this, is that I'm lucky enough that I have a variety of co-hosts who come on, and each of you have a different specialty, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to pivot more towards tech, if I want to pivot more towards science, production, RPGs, game design, that sort of stuff, that's when I'd like to have you come on.
Right.
I have someone who is really good he started a company. Peter Saloom, he has...
I know Peter, yeah. He's good. He's here this weekend.
Yeah. He runs Apple Tree Games. That's not the name, but I get it wrong all the time, so he told me to just keep getting it wrong.
Okay, all right.
So that's what I do. Every time I come up with a different fruit name for it, Nectarine Tree Games.
Nectarine Tree. Yeah. Thanks, Peter.
He's an amazing guy.
He
does all sorts of stuff. He's really good for like community outreach, and he does game design and a variety of stuff. And I also like him because he has a young one too. And so we kind of get into the whole, like, what does it mean to be a parent as a gamer?
Right.
And then also, if I want something a little more towards the minis, more towards historicals and wargaming per se, Robert Dunn will come on. And so Robert also has a little one. So we kind of have that going on too. So try to fit every sort of different stage of life into what we're doing, so you get a variety of perspectives. And then if there's a topic that's really just would benefit, in my mind, from multiple people, I'll have a bunch of you on.
Yeah.
And just go. And then if I don't have any of you, we'll have a guest, someone else, or maybe both.
Right.
So just try to figure out how to do it.
Now, I know your show is audio.
Yes.
I mean, primarily. You've done some video stuff, but it's not like part of the core production. I'm trying to convince you to start doing audio or doing video, doing live stream video.
You are trying to convince me of that?
Yeah, man, we got good software for it. It's easy nowadays.
It's a lot of work.
No, it's so easy now. We'll try it. Let's try.
Will you promise to edit the video?
I'm not going to edit anything.
Well, then I'm not editing it.
No, I'm saying don't edit it. Just leave it as it. Leave the video as is.
I don't know about that.
Why?
So,
look, people watch TikTok. Come on.
But there's a difference, right? So if someone's watching a video of a podcast or a video of a web show,
right,
they expect all sorts of visuals. They expect other sort of things, different camera angles. You have some sort of reason for them to come and watch. If it's going to be an hour-long video, who's sitting for an hour-long video?
I'm saying we do it live and let people chime in. All right, whatever. Doesn't matter. We'll have that discussion later. Hey, if you're watching this, put in the comments what you think. What you would like to see.
If people would like it, we will consider it.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. I never say no.
So I was talking to Jason Elliott last night.
Me too.
And he has a guy for us who's going to come on. He'll get him to come on. Did he tell you?
He did. He told me.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, that'll be good. We're not going to say who it is, but we're going to have a surprise guest.
No, I can't. Yeah.
He's going to, hopefully. I don't want to, he hasn't agreed to it yet.
No, it's in the works.
But he probably will.
It's in the works.
But that should be good. Jason's like, oh yeah, I'll call him tonight.
Yeah.
So.
So that would be for Tabletop Weekly?
Yeah. Well, no.
He told me for Tabletop Weekly.
Well, we can do that, but we're talking for Wargaming Recon as well.
See, he was telling me it'd be for Tabletop Weekly, and that he wants me to come on more with all of you.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can do both.
Yeah, we'll do whatever. This is one of the great things about coming to a con, though, right? Mm-hmm. So that you meet people, you make new friends, you have repeat friends, and then you connect, and you do all this networking. Networking is a terrible word, but this is where magic happens.
Yeah.
Just these connections and these offhand interactions and responses.
Most of the people in this industry that come to these cons, they're happy to share ideas and give you, it's not a competition. None of us, really. I mean, I think I have encountered a few people, but very rare, who I felt as though they saw, another game designer as competition. Mm-hmm. But that is so rare. Most of the people here are just, you talk to them and they'll say, "Hey, here's an idea," right? And it's not like, "Oh, no, I want credit," or "Don't," whatever. No, they're just happy to give you an idea, and they're like, "Let me know how it works out for you."
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you also make deals with people. We find artists. We find, you might find an editor here, if you needed one. But
there's a lot of talent here.
Yeah. How long do you think Wargaming Recon will continue to go on?
So I get asked this every so often, and my answer has not changed. It's as long as I have the passion for it,
right?
As long as people are willing to listen to it, as long as there's money for it.
How is your fan base? Is it is as strong as ever?
It's about the same. So we average about 1,200 listeners per episode. That tends to put us in about the top 20% of podcasts globally.
That's pretty damn good.
Which, when I first started, I thought 1,200. That's not that great. You get these celebrities getting, but that's the thing. So you have a small group of celebrities who are doing podcasts, and they get millions.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you figure
coming with millions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you figure most podcasts will be lucky if they get 10 people.
Yeah.
20 people.
Right.
So then anything beyond that, you go into this weird category where you're just get ballooned higher up into the rankings, so to speak.
1,200 is impressive.
Yeah, it was 1,200 to 1,300, 1,350, depends on the topic.
So wait a minute, so every time I come on your show, there's 1,300 people listening to me, rather?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's great. No, I think it's great. So have you had any issues over the years with anyone? Have you had, because people are people, right? Have you had any issues with any listeners, either trying to cause trouble for you, giving you a hard time? Because you've been doing this a long time. There has to have been something like that.
So one of the things about creating so much content is you're bound to make mistakes, right?
Sure.
And that's happened to me, and people have very politely and kindly pointed out when I've made errors or other people on the show, and so we fix them, and people have been kind about that.
What about unkind?
And then I've had some situations with either some people who've been on the show or companies that have not been so great. I had one company I was reviewing product, and they were very hostile towards me.
Because you didn't speak of it as kindly as they would have liked?
Yeah, and they were trying to accuse me of being nefarious about stuff. I was like...
You?
Yeah, I'm going to call them out because I've called them out publicly before. So Redgrass Games, they make a variety of painting stuff, but they make a painting palette. So I had a listener who wanted me to really review the product, so they paid money on our Patreon so that I could then go and back the Kickstarter. I got their large painting palette, and the large painting palette was garbage. Very beautiful, very artistically designed, very nicely looking, right? But the seal didn't work, so stuff would leak out. The magnets were not glued in properly. They would fall out. There was a lot of problems with it. To me, it seemed more of a prototype instead of a finished product, even for a Kickstarter product.
Right.
And I very politely, privately talked with the people at Redgrass Games to let them know that there were these issues, see what they're going to do about it. And I wanted them to know that I was going to be talking about it on the podcast, that I was doing this as a review. I didn't want them to get blindsided, just to give them a heads up and say, this is coming, so you know. And then they were very angry. There may have been a cultural difference there. They're French and I'm American, so I'm sure things come across from an American very differently.
Probably, yeah.
So I was aware of that, and I tried to be, moderate, and they were just the rudest, meanest they could be about it.
Oh, they're probably from Paris then. No, I'm kidding.
I did not say that. And so people who actually bought the cheaper model ended up with a better product. And they, to my knowledge, they've never fixed the more expensive product. And they've come out and they've released brushes, painting handles. I refuse to back any of this stuff. Right. I won't cover it anymore because my thing is I don't want to cover the bad stuff if I can help it. Like if I come across something that's bad, I will tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or whatever. But I want to spend the time talking about the positives.
So that leads me to like something we used to do on Mythwits where if we couldn't give a positive review of something, we just didn't review it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't saying that if we review your thing, we're going to give you a positive review.
No, of course.
It just means that we don't want to talk down anybody's product. So if we don't like it, we just won't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
If you can't say something nice.
No, of course.
But in your case, that one was because someone had sponsored it. You kind of had to talk about it.
A listener paid money. We made a point of saying, this is what we're going to do. We're doing that. But also, we did a whole thing about comparing different painting palettes, wet palettes, how you can make your own, what can you do so it's affordable. Here are other options that you can get. How does it go? Do you need a wet palette? Can you just use a dry palette for painting? And really try to approach it in this broader sense.
Right.
And at that point, we couldn't leave it out because we had talked about it so much, hyping it up, and then also other arrangements.
Tell me about, I know you have, I guess, a sponsor that did some stuff for Adrian.
Which sponsor are you thinking?
When Adrian passed away, to honor him.
Oh, yeah. So when Adrian passed, I had reached out with a variety of people in the gaming space, and I wanted to try to find a way to honor Adrian's memory and to see what we could do to maybe fundraise for cancer research. Adrian passed away from esophageal cancer, and so I spoke with his widow and his family about it because I really wanted to see what their wishes were.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that whatever I was going to do wasn't going to be harmful or upsetting to them. And I also wanted to make sure that it was something that they would approve of. Because if they didn't, I was not going to do it.
Yeah.
So then I started reaching out to different companies to see what can we do. And one company, Things from the Basement, they had already been thinking about it. York Bender, he's been a vendor at TotalCon and at other conventions. He does amazing wood creations that he laser cuts
wood and you put it together.
And you put it together, you can make all sorts of terrain. And he's also gotten into more recently resin feudal Japanese miniatures. And he sells terrain stuff like flock and whatever, all that kind of stuff. And so I reached out to him to see if we could come up with an idea, work on something. It turned out he also, on his own, came up with an idea. So he ended up creating a submarine that's made out of MDF, and it's Victorian science fiction, so you can use it for like whatever you want, but it's an exploratory submarine.
So it's like a Captain Nemo, like an
exactly. And it's a beautiful model. It's called the USS Adrian Benson.
Nice.
And whenever people buy it, a percentage of the sales then get donated to cancer research by York Bender. And I've also done things throughout the year where I'll be like, if you buy this, let me know, because then we will make a donation on top of it and do that. There's been some other companies that have made Adrian and I characters in games.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're actually trying to look to see about maybe getting some minis made of us or some of that sort of thing. And there's some stuff I'm not allowed to talk about, but there might be a nonprofit foreman that might be doing some cool stuff in the gaming space in Adrian's memory. But we just try to find ways to honor those who aren't here anymore, because there's so many of us who are here and still so many who are not, but who have made an impact on the hobby.
It's like, like James, right? We're doing the Golden Fez,
of course,
a game award in his name, which is, and just like you, everything has to go through Mary.
Rightly so.
So if Mary doesn't approve, and she's still in contact, heavily with Niall, his son.
Yep.
So if there's anything that's questionable or whatever, Mary and Niall can chime in. We're always, Mary's here. We still,
of course,
still have a good relationship with her.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. So it'll be fun doing that. That's tonight. We're actually doing that.
Yes,
if you're watching this, it's not tonight because this came out after the con. But if you were here watching this right now,
many weeks ago,
we're time traveling weeks ago when we did this. We're gonna give out 7 awards tonight for games.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I should have you come. You should give one of those out.
If you want.
Yeah, we can do that. I think James liked you. No.
I think he maybe liked me. I don't know. We'd hang out.
Right.
No, he was wonderful. I miss him.
So what was, if you had to pick one or a couple of your shows that you've done that you were just like, man, that was the greatest show I've done, what do you think it would have been?
So one I come back to all the time, not because I would call it the greatest, but just because I think it's helped a lot of people.
Right, or your favorite or whatever, yeah.
So I have 2. One is, we did an episode, in the very early days. It's episode 84.
Look at this, he knows the number and everything. I did not prompt him. He had no prompting.
It's Wargaming on the cheap. It just tells you how often this comes up. And so we talked about things, how you can do, I call them print and play models. So they were paper soldiers, they call them paper boys.
Yeah.
You can print out on pieces of paper.
You fold it in half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you could have that. And we talked about using the library as a resource. We talked about all sorts of ways that you can just get into this more affordably. And that seemed to have helped a lot of people. People talked about that a lot. They would come back and be like, oh, this is a cool idea. We got this and that or whatever. And so we shared a lot of resources, and people seem to like that. And then another one that actually I think for me has been a landmark one was, I did an episode, I don't remember the episode number. I know, no, how dare I?
Kidding.
But I did an episode when I revealed to people that I live with general anxiety disorder, PTSD, and clinical depression. And I remember when I was first diagnosed with that, I was shocked. I was like, me? That makes no sense.
Right.
But then I was trying to think, what do I do with this? So you go through the whole thing of, you feel shame, you feel a variety of things. And I thought, well, if I'm feeling this, someone else is, right? And I have this platform. I owe it to people to let them know that they're not alone.
Right.
And I want to normalize this and do what I can to try to help people who might be living with this. And so I did an episode on that. I waited till my family was gone. I recorded it by myself. It was a very emotional episode. First time I ever cried on camera.
Oh, wow. The first time.
Yeah, not the last.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, there's been many.
Baby. No,
I know.
I'm kidding.
Oh, you should have saw me doing Adrian's eulogy. I had to do it. Oh, that was...
dude.
Yeah, video, that was rough.
Yeah.
But doing this, and then I sat on it for a while. I was like, am I going to release this? Am I going to delete it? What am I going to do? And then I put it out there, and the response was amazing. And ever since then, I've lost track, but I've gotten communications from listeners saying that they've gone through hard times. The show has helped them. Some listeners say that they were going to die by suicide, and the show helped them to feel that they weren't alone and encouraged them to go seek help.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that is, I don't know what you say to that, but I'm glad that we were able to be there for people.
So how do they get in touch with you? Because, when we did Mythwits back in the day, we almost never heard from anybody in any way. I know people were watching it. We'd actually go to a convention or something, and somebody would be like, "Oh, I love your show," right? Which is, I was like, "What?
That's cool."
What? But how do you get communication from people? How do they talk with you?
So we get email, A lot of people email me, Jonathan at wargamingrecon.com. People respond to our social media posts. We're on many other things as Wargaming Recon. So we have that. We have a Patreon. Sometimes people will send communications to that. Direct messages in person. Some people have my text messages so that they can do, because I've made a lot of friends and they're fans of the show and listen. So a variety of ways. I get more messages than I would think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, not a ton. I mean, I'm not Conan O'Brien or anything, but like few people are.
You're not?
I know. I need the red hair.
Right.
But I get a fair bit of messages. And then we have a Facebook group in addition to our Facebook page. So people interact on there and they'll share stuff and they'll talk about things. And yeah.
So do you farm a lot of ideas for your show from the community?
Now we do.
You do? Okay.
In the past, I used to think I had to come up with them all on my own.
Right.
And like, this is my job. I can't take from everyone else. And then I realized people want to offer and hope that something will be fun to get covered.
Because I was going to say, after 21 years of doing this, like, and you're still coming up with ideas for shows, that's got to be difficult. Because how many shows do you do in a year?
So we do an episode every other week, which comes out to, what is it, like 24 episodes
26.
a year? 24 to 26.
Yeah.
But we take a little bit of a break.
Okay,
so
yeah, right. So
anywhere between 21 to maybe 24, 25 episodes a year.
Right. That's like 24 topics.
Yep.
You have to come up with every year for 21 years.
Yep.
About a hobby, like a gaming hobby. So that's got to be rough.
No, you're right. We're at the point now that I've realized that there's a whole group of listeners who weren't born when we started.
Oh, my Lord, right? Yeah.
And the stuff back that we covered early days, we need to cover again.
Right. Well, plus also things have changed.
Of course.
Like, for example, this was a good way to game on the cheap in 2012.
Yep.
And now we have something that is way cheaper, way easier, like 3D printing is a good example.
So you and I, we had talked about this, and
yeah.
then you talked about 3D printing, which was, no one even thought it would ever be a thing back then.
Well, yeah, and didn't think it would be like in everybody's, not everybody, obviously not everybody, but
No, but it can be.
It's getting close to it.
Yep.
Especially with wargamers and stuff, because they're finding that they can download STLs and print them, and it's just so easy to do.
Easier, cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Just beware of the legalities.
Yeah.
We did an episode on that. Actually, I got a lot of hate mail on that one because people didn't like realizing that what they were doing was illegal. We had a lawyer on. We talked about all that.
Yeah. All right. Well, where do we find? Where do we find Wargaming Recon?
So you want to go to wargamingrecon.com. That's our website that allows you to listen to the podcast. You can find us on all of the podcast apps. We're on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play Store, all those. I think we're on Spotify, I think, too. But then we're on all the stuff like Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads. We're on...
OnlyFans? No, I'm kidding.
No,
Could you imagine?
So, actually, we're on Twitch. So that's the thing that I do now every week. I stream on Twitch Saturdays and Sundays.
That's right. Yeah.
I paint minis and I build Lego.
Okay, so that is as Wargaming Recon then.
Yeah.
That's not just Jonathan.
No, it's the same handle.
Right.
So the podcast is family friendly. The Twitch is for 18 plus because we actually have a lot of people who come watch live and talk about their mental health journey. So that could be something that's not appropriate for people under the age of 18.
Right.
So we do that, and we're on Twitter for the time being, and
X,
Mastodon.
Right. Right.
I don't know whatever else there is.
Right. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, you should go check out Wargaming Recon. And if you see Jonathan, he's always here at TotalCon. Come to TotalCon.
Yeah, every year.
Say hi to Jonathan. I mean, he's kind of hard to miss. But thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.